Welcome to Auckland. One of the things that I love about this city is all the little bays, beaches, inlets. The city is absolutely surrounded by beautiful water. This is just one of them. It's called Cockle Bay. It happens to be a place that I've been to before, and it's one of my favorite places to visit and to eat at because it has the Windross restaurant. The Windross restaurant is a beautiful little place. If you can find a better place to have a meal, let me know because I don't think there is one. Now, Cockle Bay is also special because it sits right near Howick. Howick is like an ideal little English town with two very important differences. The first is you can walk down to this. Where can you do that in England? And the second thing is the weather. This place has great weather. It's a beautiful place to visit and a beautiful place to live. So, where are you heading with the boat?
Yeah, just halfway between here and Waiheke.
And how's the fishing out there?
Good.
Yeah? What kind of fish?
Snapper.
And how big are they?
Up to 50 centimetres long.
Okay, so that's a pretty good size. It's 1.5 feet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. And do you get much out there?
Yeah, we get a feed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And pretty much every time?
Most times.
Good, well good luck.
Okay.
Have a good day. One of the things that I love in Howick is this old Anglican church. You learn so much about the story of the place through the memorials in the churchyard. One of the things that I find most poignant in this churchyard is the memorial to the children who died in the scarlet fever epidemic of 1854. The reverend of this church lost 3 children in that single epidemic. We hear a lot these days about people who are anti-vax, that is, anti-vaccinations. Well, I'm not one of them. And the story found right here is the reason why not. All civic centres in New Zealand have a war memorial to the dead of the Great War, and for good reason. New Zealand troops had the highest rate of casualties of all the Commonwealth troops during that war. Howick is no exception. The war memorial is on the highest point in the town with a beautiful view over the bay. So we started the day in Cockle Bay. Then we moved on to Howick, and now we're at Musick Point. That's music with a K. We're actually at a point at the end of a peninsula here with a beautiful golf course and wow, amazing views. Now's a great time to remind you what the point of the 1% Traveller is. It's not to take you to places that nobody's ever gone. These places are very easily accessible, but there's no buses full of tourists here. This is not on the tourist trail. But it's fabulous, and if you come to Auckland, I know you'll see all the main things that are on the regular tourist bus route. You'll go there with 500 people from all over the world and wait in lines and do all those sorts of things. What you won't do is get to Musick Point, unless you've watched the 1% Traveller. I'm walking through the rough grass here, and you might be wondering, what about the snakes, huh? Well, here's one of the beautiful things about New Zealand. Not only do you get views like this, but there are no snakes here. They managed to do it without St. Patrick. I don't know how they did it, but here we are, snake-free New Zealand. From here, we go back into the city, and we're going to catch a ferry out to one of the many beautiful islands you can go to from Auckland. It's going to be a fabulous trip. Let's get going. Two things in Auckland that really stand out. The first is the number of islands that are easily accessible from the city. We're going out to Waiheke Island. It's only 35 minutes from downtown Auckland. The second thing is volcanoes. There are 52 volcanoes in the Auckland vicinity. This one is Rangitoto. It is only 600 years old, and we're going to deal more with volcanoes later in the show. Waiheke builds itself as an island paradise, and not without good reason. Everywhere you look, it is absolutely stunningly beautiful. Waiheke's beaches are beautiful, and they are surrounded by great vegetation and beautiful cafes. Waiheke is dotted with vineyards. Now, I'm not a drinker myself, but I do love a beautifully kept vineyard. One other thing as you drive around the island, what you notice is Waiheke, well, it's funky.
It's got low one that's in here. very intelligent.
The main town on the island is really terrific. It's very charming, great restaurants, and great art, and a lot of water sports. Anything that you want that has to do with water, you can find here. I had the good fortune of grabbing lunch at a little place called The Local, and man, it was good. The best fish and chips I've ever had anywhere. At the end, the owner took me out on the deck and pointed out to the water just in front of the restaurant, and he said, "That's where the fish was caught this morning." Well, big surprise, you just simply can't beat that. One other thing, Waiheke has terrific hiking trails. Imagine living on Waiheke Island and your daily commute, well, it looks like this. Not bad, eh? You can, of course, get to all the places that we've gone to today via public transport. It just might take a little bit longer and be a little bit less convenient. And you might ask yourself, what's it like to come to New Zealand, come to Auckland, and pick up a rental car and just drive around the city? Well, it turns out it's pretty easy. New Zealand roads are clearly marked. They're relatively good. Now, you might notice that my nose is looking a little bit like Rudolph's. I went out all day. I did not take sunblock. Bad idea. Don't be like the 1% traveler. Bring your sunblock, bring a hat, because New Zealand summers, well, they're sunny, and I've paid the price. So let's go out for dinner now. My suggestion? Let's go to Mission Bay. So welcome to Mission Bay. There's a nice beach here, views of a volcano. This is, after all, Auckland, and there are great cafes. This place has a lot of good memories for me because 27 years ago, my wife and I got engaged right here at a beautiful little Italian restaurant. Very romantic place and a great place for dinner. So I'm up early on my last day in Auckland, and I'm going to start the day the best way you possibly can, and that is climbing up a volcano and watching the sunrise. There's our volcano of the day. It is the tallest in the Auckland vicinity, and it should be a nice little climb and a beautiful view. So there's a road up the volcano, but of course, well, that doesn't open until 7 a.m. Why the good folks of Auckland have decided to cut off their path up to the most beautiful view for sunrise, I don't know, but it's a good opportunity because, hey, I can do with the exercise, and it's a beautiful morning walk through just a gorgeous forest, and yet off just close to here, as you'll see in a minute, are the morning lights as the city as it wakes up, and a view of the sun, if it can break through the clouds, rising. One of the things I love up here is there's no fences, there's no gates, there's no safety precautions. There's a lot of steep falls, and if you're not careful, you could really hurt yourself, and that's why you should be careful. Welcome to New Zealand. Take responsibility for yourself. I've reached the top despite the bureaucrats' best efforts to keep us away, and what a beautiful view. A great way to start the day, not crowded like everything else in New Zealand. It just seems like they've opened the country up for me. And if you're ever in Auckland, you're up early, especially if you have jet lag like I do, hike up Mount Eden and enjoy the morning. What a fabulous way to start the day. Next stop, breakfast, because no place does breakfast quite as well as Auckland. Let's see if this works. So I'm sitting on top of the volcano and I meet this wonderful young couple, just so romantic. They're sitting up there, they're having breakfast together, and I disturbed their romantic moment and asked them, can you give me a recommendation of a cafe I could go to? And they said, look, the best cafe is Crave. We know that because we work there. So I came across town and I've just checked out Crave. And I gotta tell you, what an amazing place. All run by a collective, beautiful food, amazing people, tremendous space, and an antique toy store to go along with it. Auckland is just so full of great little surprises like that. And did I say amazing food. Well, that's a wrap for the 1% Traveller in Auckland, New Zealand. We've gone to volcanoes, we've visited islands, we've met wonderful people, and we've explored this incredibly vibrant city together. I hope that you make it here, and more than that, I hope that as you travel you remember, the further you get from tourists, the closer you get to life. So stick with the 1% Traveller and we'll explore this amazing world together from a completely different angle. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe below because we have tons of great travel videos coming your way.